In the top stories, the IMF is projecting steady economic growth for St. Christopher and Nevis, driven by tourism, construction, and renewable energy. Haiti and the Dominican Republic say the reopening of air routes has been delayed as work on security protocols continues. And on the international scene, the doctor hired by the cruise ship involved in the hantavirus scare is in stable condition after being evacuated from the vessel. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Major Newscast. I am Jasmine Thomas. First on the local scene, the International Monetary Fund is projecting a stronger economic outlook for St. Christopher and Nevis, with growth expected to reach 2% this year and around 2.5% over the medium term. The IMF conducted its 2026 Article 4 consultation with St. Christopher and Nevis following a visit to Bastia and Charlestown in February this year. The 76-page report published in April identifies construction activity, a recovering tourism sector, progress in agriculture, and the Federation's renewable energy projects as the key drivers of that growth. On tourism, the report is particularly encouraging. Stay-over visitor arrivals have already surpassed pre-pandemic levels, outperforming the regional average across the Eastern Caribbean. A developing yachting sector and cruise home porting, planned for late 2027, are expected to provide a further boost. The IMF confirmed that St. Christopher and Nevis has one of the highest GDP per capita levels in the Caribbean and holds the second highest Human Development Index in the region. On energy, the geothermal drilling contract that has been awarded with drilling set to begin in the second half of this year. The solar energy project is also advancing. The IMF says completing both projects could increase GDP by more than 1% percentage point and deliver long-term savings on fuel imports. The report also praises steps taken to strengthen the citizenship by investment program, including the establishment of the Regional Regulatory Authority and tighter due diligence requirements. The IMF did acknowledge fiscal pressures following the decline in CBI revenues from their peak in 2022. The government has responded, however, with expenditure adjustments and is working on a broader tax reform agenda. Legislation for a sovereign wealth and resilience fund has also been submitted to Parliament, a step the IMF describes as important for long-term economic resilience. Officers of the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue Services took to the streets of Bastia on Tuesday as part of activities marking International Firefighters Day 2026. The parade formed part of a week of events aimed at raising public awareness and recognizing the important role firefighters play in keeping communities safe. Observed annually on May 4, International Firefighters Day honors the bravery, dedication, and sacrifices of firefighters around the world. The day also serves as a time to remember those who have lost their lives in the line of duty. St. Christopher and Nevis has been recognized among a select group of countries leading the way in advancing women's representation in diplomacy. The announcement was made in New York on the 4th of May, where the Federation was identified as one as only 40 United Nations member states with a female-led permanent mission. This places St. Kitts and Nevis among just over 20% of countries worldwide, with women serving in such senior diplomatic roles. Prime Minister Drew was commended for his leadership and continued advocacy for women's empowerment and in inclusive governance. Global data from the United Nations shows that women remain underrepresented in diplomacy, with about one-third holding senior roles in foreign ministries and even fewer serving as ambassadors or heads of mission. Against this backdrop, the Federation's recognition highlights its commitment to gender equality and its alignment with international best practices. The government says empowering women in leadership positions strengthens national representation, improves policy outcomes, and supports more effective global engagement. Dr. Mutrice Williams currently serves as St. Kitts and Nevis's permanent representative to the United Nations. We now take a look at news on the regional scene. The reopening of air travel between Haiti and the Dominican Republic has been delayed as officials continue work on finalizing a comprehensive security protocol. The Dominican Republic's Civil Aviation Board announced that commercial flights, which were scheduled to resume on the 1st of May, will not proceed as planned. Officials say the reopening is still expected to take place sometime in May. However, no specific date has been confirmed. The delay affects an agreement reached in April between both countries, which outlined a gradual restoration of flights, including routes linked to Cap Haitian. Authorities explain that additional time is needed to complete a joint security framework covering passenger screening, immigration procedure, and aviation safety standards. Both governments have reaffirmed their commitment to restoring air connectivity, with officials saying efforts continue toward a safe and gradual reopening. And the Caribbean governments are moving to strengthen housing resilience through a new regional partnership with the Inter-American Development Bank and the Caribbean Development Bank. The initiative will target more than 15 countries and focus on retrofitting homes to better withstand hurricanes, flooding, and other climate-related hazards. Officials say the program will combine home improvement grants, concessional loans, and technical support, along with training for workers and homeowners. It will also include support for home insurance and strengthened capacity for national housing authorities. The project forms part of a regional strategy aimed at reducing vulnerabilities and improving protection for millions of households across the regions. Officials say that a coordinated approach will help countries pool resources, lower costs, and build more resilient communities in the face of increasing climate risks. On the international scene, a British doctor evacuated from a cruise ship off the coast of West Africa is now in stable condition after previously being listed as critical. The 56-year-old was among 3 people airlifted from the vessel MV Honduras following a hantavirus outbreak on board. Spanish health officials confirmed the evacuations were carried out as part of a coordinated international response involving several countries and health agencies. Authorities say the remaining passengers on board are not showing symptoms, and the ship is expected to continue under strict health protocols. Medical teams have been deployed to monitor the situation as investigations continue into the outbreak. Officials add that the overall public health risk remains low. The United States has paused its maritime operation in the Strait of Hormuz as diplomatic talks with Iran continue. President Donald Trump confirmed the temporary halt, saying significant progress has been made toward a possible agreement with Tehran. The operation, which had been supporting safe passage for vessels through the strategic waterway, was launched amid heightened tensions in the region. U.S. officials say the pause is aimed at creating space for negotiations, while warning that operations could resume if talks collapse. Iranian officials have responded cautiously, with some signaling that safe transit through the strait will be possible if agreements hold. Global oil markets have shown volatility following the announcement, as the strait remains a key route for global energy supply. We now take a look at the weather. Present conditions show partly cloudy skies across the Federation with a moderate easterly breeze at 13 miles per hour. Temperatures are 27 degrees Celsius or 80 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity at 79%. Seas are slight, ranging from 0.6 to 1.2 meters or 2 to 4 feet, with sea level pressure at 1018.1 millibars. Today, expect partly cloudy conditions with a 40% chance of brief showers. Tonight, skies will remain partly cloudy with a 30% chance of isolated showers. Sunset this evening is expected to be at approximately 6:30. And that's how we end the midday major newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jasmine Thomas. God bless you.